But we begin tonight in the United States, where Donald Trump has vowed to appeal today's ruling. A New York judge has ordered the former president to pay nearly $355 million U.S. Trump has been found liable for fraudulently overstating his net worth to dupe lenders. He spoke last hour, moments after remarks from the New York Attorney General.
A fine of $355 million for doing a perfect job, for having paid back a loan with no defaults, with no problems. If I weren't running, none of this stuff would have ever happened. None of these lawsuits would have ever happened.
Donald Trump may have authored the art of the deal, but he perfected the art of the steal. This long-running fraud was intentional, egregious, illegal.
The CBC's Sarah Galashan is following these developments, and she joins us now from the breaking news desk. So, Sarah, this is a lot of money that Donald Trump is being ordered to pay, and he is clearly not happy about it.
Well, Travis, and then factor in the interest on this. The Attorney General putting it at about $100 million and growing every day that it's not paid. And then don't forget the $83 million that he's been ordered to pay. E. Jean Carroll is part of that defamation suit decision. So the bills really are all adding up here. And then on top of that, as part of this decision, Donald Trump cannot sit as a director or officer of any New York corporation for a period of 3 years. And that stipulation also applying to other execs of the Trump organization, namely his two sons, Eric and Don Jr. In their cases for a period of 2 years, and they each are being ordered to pay $4 million. And this is for, as the Attorney General characterized it, repeated and persistent fraud, which really boils down to fraudulent financial statements used to secure bank loans at rates that they would otherwise not be eligible for. The Attorney General saying that he exaggerated his wealth by more than $3 billion and reaped hundreds of millions of dollars in ill-gotten gains as a result of it. The judge, Arthur Engeron, in a 93-page opinion, which was at times scathing, not only agreed with the Attorney General, but I want to read you just a little bit of what he wrote, writing that Trump and the other defendants are incapable of admitting the error of their ways, their complete lack of contrition and remorse borders on pathological. Instead, they adopt a see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil posture that evidence belies. Travis?
Sarah, we know that Donald Trump and his team plans to appeal. What did the former president have to say today?
He had a lot to say, and maybe not a surprise. He took this moment to do a bit of campaigning, promising to make America great again, taking aim at his likely presidential political rival, Joe Biden. He said that the verdict was likely as well to drive other people, business people specifically, out of New York State, saying that what this does is paint the state as being unfriendly to business, given how perfectly he was running his company, he says. But his harshest criticism, really, he reserved for the judge in this and the Attorney General. Not speaking about the judiciary, more generically, but rather specific individuals and using the word corrupt. And I want to play a little bit of what he said there, because it is a little extraordinary when you consider it is coming from a former president.
He ruled against me before he even got the case. He ruled against me. He said I was guilty. He didn't know what I was guilty of before he even got the case. And Letitia James, that's another case altogether. She's a horribly corrupt attorney general, and it's all having to do with election interference. These are radical left Democrats. They're lunatics.
Now, the statement that came earlier from his legal team, it's a little more nuanced in this, calling the verdict egregious and saying that it is the culmination of a multi-year politically fueled witch hunt that was designed to take down Donald Trump. Now, there have been many other posts on Donald Trump's Truth Social from the former president, from those who came for him. And Travis, among the posts that are seen on that are those that are calling on supporters to make financial donations for his campaign. But as we do note here, his bills pending appeal are mounting.
They are indeed. Sarah Galashan at the Breaking News Desk starting us off this evening. Thanks, Sarah. Well, for analysis on this, let's bring in Jeremy Saland. He's a former Manhattan prosecutor and currently a criminal lawyer. He joins us from Newcastle, New York tonight. So, Jeremy, not only has Trump been hit with this massive fine, he also has been barred from serving as an officer or director of any of his New York corporations. So how damaging is this to his business interests?
It's incredibly damaging. And when he looks in the mirror, despite his ranting and raving, he is only himself to blame. That's the biggest and most egregious thing that's going on. It's because of his acts, and now we have a judge who's ruled that. In fact, it is because of his actions and that of other people around him. But it potentially cripples him and hobbles him, because you have to think for a moment, how can you operate a business if you can't operate your business, if you can't be a director, if you can't get loans? So it's incredibly serious, and that's aside from the $355 million, not that he personally has to pay, but collectively for all those involved. And as your colleague just noted, it also includes his children. So it's generational. It's significant, unquestionably so.
So, Trump will no doubt appeal this ruling. How likely is that to be successful?
Well, there's a lot of different things that he could appeal, but, is he going to appeal well, first of all, he's going to appeal the whole thing, so that we should have no misgivings. But does ultimately the dollar amount get lessened? Does the penalty in terms of the length of his inability to, run his own businesses and secure loans get diminished and limited? It takes time. He has 30 days to file an appeal, and then it could take months to years. Forget months. It could take years, but some things may get parsed out sooner than others, or a stay may be requested for certain things to take effect. But, this is all damaging, as you noted before. And unlike his criminal cases where his theory is delay, he's going to do the opposite. He's going to rush.
Not really a legal question here, but Trump has insisted that this is all politically motivated conspiracy. It's an attempt to tank his presidential ambitions. I wonder what your thoughts are there, and if that really is holding some weight with some portions of the electorate where you are from in the United States right now.
Well, sadly, let me take a step and answer it backwards. It absolutely has an impact, and it no doubt plays to his minions and these people who have drank the proverbial Kool-Aid that this man could do no wrong. But at the same time, in his defense, to say that there is not a political component, you'd have to be willfully naive or ignorant, because Attorney General James, when she was running, she was already gunning for Trump. And right or wrong, this was before she had anything before her to clamp onto. But this is not about politics. This is about somebody, now we have a ruling, who perpetrated an ongoing fraud, and under no circumstances the man willing to accept any responsibility, no matter from whom or what, where, and what fashion. So there is a political piece to this, no doubt, but not to the magnitude he's making it to be.
He is facing numerous legal battles right across the United States. Jeremy, as a former prosecutor, can you speak at how damning fighting these cases will be when it comes to time specifically, and will it make his presidential campaign more difficult because of that time factor?
Yeah, no doubt, because we know we have a Manhattan criminal case with the falsifying business records. It's supposed to commence on March 25th. Then we had the January 6th, the insurgents, insurrection, out of Washington, D.C. That's been pushed back, but that could happen potentially in May or later June, sometime this summer. And keep in mind as well, we have to hear from the Supreme Court still if they're going to weigh in on some of these issues like immunity. So there's a lot of moving pieces here, but he could find himself in a trial, no doubt. Well, he will in the next month or so, and it's going to be difficult. He'll be at trial, then at night go somewhere to campaign. But again, this is of his own making.
If he is successful in his presidential bid, would he be able to use the office to pardon himself against the rulings against him?
So, interesting question. There are some and many who believe a federal criminal conviction, yes, he could. But let's break this out and parse this out. We have a civil finding against him, a judgment, a liability. That he cannot. That's a state judgment and it's civil. There is a Manhattan criminal case, state of New York. A governor could do that, but a president cannot. So if he's convicted of falsifying business records, even one count, that's in perpetuity. That does not go away. He cannot somehow fix it and make it be gone.
Follow the bouncing ball on this one. Wow. Okay, Jeremy, appreciate your time tonight. That is former Manhattan prosecutor Jeremy Saland. He joins us from New York.